For the latest on Turkey's role in the fight against ISIL, I'm joined by Ronald Suny. He's an author and political history professor at the University of Michigan. Thanks so much for speaking with us. You just heard Alla kind of march through things. This is complicated. What do you see as Turkey's role in this conflict?
It's extraordinarily complicated. Turkey is fighting different forces in different places. So at the moment, it has a Kurdish problem within Turkey. It's trying to make a deal with its own Kurds and have some kind of reconciliation process, not going so well at the moment. It has pretty good relations with Kurds in Iraq, with the so-called Kurdish regional government, but it's opposed to the Kurds in Syria because they're allied with Assad. And of course, Turkey and Prime Minister Erdogan, now President Erdogan, is in fact an enemy, a sworn enemy of Assad. So what's likely to happen is really up in the air.
And President Erdogan, you brought up the fact sworn enemies. A lot of people that I've talked to, actually from Turkey, say that part of the problem is Turkey, that these fighters have been able to get into Syria easily enough because initially the concern was to get rid of Assad, and now we have this ISIL group.
Right. So the enemy of my enemy can be your friend, and they were supporting various kinds of oppositional elements to Assad, among them elements that have now joined some of these jihadist groups and are part of ISIS as well. So it's very complicated, but now Turkey made a fundamental decision yesterday, not one that is completely supported by the public opinion in Turkey, but it made a decision. Overwhelmingly, the parliament voted to join the coalition and to stand up to ISIS. It's becoming a real problem on the Turkish border. Kobani may soon fall right on the Turkish border. There are some 200,000, if not more, Syrian Kurds, plus others in Turkey as refugees. Something's got to be done. But Turkey must hesitate to think about moving across the border into Syria and then widening the war and getting deeply involved.
Plus, they've also had their own citizens captured by ISIL forces in Iraq. They finally had them released, so they understand what's at play here. Of course, there's been a lot of pressure, I should say, that they play a more active role on this U.S.-led fight. How far are they willing to go, do you think?
I think they're going to try to stand up to ISIS, to try to, they see it now as a real danger, maybe the immediate danger. And they're in a position that's not dissimilar from that of the United States. So Turkey is against Assad, US is against Assad, we're also against ISIS. We have a kind of, instead of a two-front war, we've got a three-cornered, four-cornered, maybe multi-cornered war. And in a funny way, the U.S. and its NATO partner, Turkey, at least they're on the same page at the moment, fighting both ISIS and Assad.
Okay, on the same page, but how is this going over with the civilian population in Turkey?
There's dissent. Erdogan has overwhelming support in the country, particularly outside the main cities. But in the last couple of years, ever since the Gezi Park movement, the demonstrations that took place on environmental and political issues a few years ago, educated opinion, what you can call civil society or the public sphere, even the business community, some elements in the business community, all of them have been more opposed to Erdogan, who seems, in the opinion of people who used to support him, as long as he was pushing for a democratic alternative to Kemalism, now they see him as moving in an authoritarian direction, more Islamic direction. And so a lot of his support among the intelligentsia, among the educated classes in the universities is fading away. And that is also translated in part to the opposition to his foreign policy, which has included this determined war against Assad.
Professor Suny, thank you so much for joining us from Michigan with your insights. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.